It's almost 2024. That's right. Year since Glover Teixeira my bet of $500 by going for a damn guillotine against Jiri Prochazka. There has been a total of 41 events, UFC events this year, with many epic moments that remind me why I love this sport. MMA is a tough way to make a living. Getting into the UFC is even harder. The biggest MMA organization in the world, and I don't care that PFL bought Bellator. The difference is the UFC can rely on their stars to outsell the competition. Bellator and the PFL cannot do that. I can't think of any PFL Bellator superstars right now. But making stars is a hard job to do as well. I am guessing these UFC execs have to find a person with talent, a good country of support, and match them up correctly where they can advance and get better, even though the UFC sold as we're the best fight the best. The UFC makes great stars, but they don't always get it right. Today we're going to explore these dudes that the UFC hyped up, pushed down our throats, but didn't execute. Number 10, Cameron Simon came into the UFC looking unbeatable, blasting through opponents at 135. So fast, so young, explosive, good kicks. I've never seen kicks that fast. Good boxing, distance control, strong, everything. This guy had it all. And he came into the UFC 6-0. It looked like he was going to go right to the top and become a top contender. However, he didn't even get to the top 10 before he lost. He fought a kid by the name of Christian Rodriguez. Late notice fight. Christian Rodriguez was overweight. It was a catch weight, 140 pounds. But we saw Cameron Simon weaknesses exposed. He was taken down over and over again, manhandled. And what he did to Martinez, he couldn't do to Rodriguez. I think this really put a stop to Cameron's hype train. We clearly saw that he has so many holes in his game that I didn't think I would see until he fought like the champion or something. And clearly he's not the guy that we thought he was. Number 9, Trevor Peek. Trevor Peek is one of the most exciting fighters in the UFC. So naturally the UFC was pushing this guy left and right. Reckless, but with so much power, loading up, throwing haymakers from California to New York. Earlier this year, this guy took on a fighter, a Mexican kid, in a late replacement fight. Once again, his name was Chepe Mariscal, making his UFC debut. This dude took everything Trevor Peek had to offer. Never buckling, never stepping back, and he put the pressure on Trevor Peek. Beat his ass. I'm surprised Trevor didn't get stopped. In the next fight, he changed up his style 100%. So Trevor Peek, as much as he was being hyped, derailed by Chepe Mariscal. Said Nurmagomedov, number 8. Just because your name is Nurmagomedov doesn't mean you're going to become champion, and Said proved that shit. He also proved that being from Dagestan doesn't mean you can wrestle. DC Said is not the typical Dagestanian fighter. He has kickboxing and likes kicking. People thought this guy was going to go straight to the top. He's a kickboxer that can wrestle. He fought another tough contender in Jonathan Martinez, and he was outscored bad. Beating on the feet. His 4-fight winning streak came to an end, proving that he's not ready for the big times yet. Number 7, Andre Muniz. Andre Muniz had an incredible start to his UFC career, coming in at 20-4, beating veterans like Eric Anders, submitting the legend Ronaldo Souza. Nobody submits Ronaldo Souza in the first round, and taking out Uriah Hall in his first fights. The sky was the limit for this guy. Big, strong Brazilian guy. We could have seen, people thought this guy was going to be the next Brazilian legend or champion. Well, this year he got out to a tough start, taking on Brendan Allen in his first fight this year. He was submitted in the third. A grueling fight, and it happens. But after that, he fought again, and he was KO'd by none other than Paul Craig, somehow. This guy was getting put on main events and all that, but it hasn't worked out. And just a couple weeks ago, he fought again and that fight was a razor-thin decision that I thought he could have lost. So he could easily be in a 3-fight losing streak. So the hype train for Andre Muniz has left, and I think this guy's in trouble for the future. Number 6, the one and only Sean Brady. This guy was overhyped, if I ever seen overhyped ever. He was undefeated, beating a lot of guys like Jake Matthews, Michael Chiesa, and he looked flawless. He was quickly rushed to the top and was matched up against top contender Bilal Muhammad. I'm sure the UFC was going for Sean Brady because Bilal Muhammad was boring. However, this fight was different. Bilal Muhammad had a point to make. With Palestine on his back, he went out there and defeated Sean Brady by TKO. Put it in perspective, Bilal does not KO anybody, but he KO'd Sean Brady, who was super hyped up. And Sean Brady will be back. Mackenzie Dern Mackenzie Dern has always been very hyped up. She's a beautiful woman, speaks right, looks good. Is a really good Brazilian jiu-jitsu player. 2022, she had a rough year. She lost a couple fights, but she came back post her divorce where she fought Angela Hill, and people started talking on Reddit. The MMA community started saying that there was a new mythical fighter post-divorce, Mackenzie Dern, and she was really hyped up before she fought Jessica Andrade. Well, the fight happened and Jessica knocked out Mackenzie Dern pretty bad. It wasn't even a match, and Jessica Andrade is coming off a 3-fight losing streak. One and only Rafael Fiziev. Rafael Fiziev got knocked out pretty bad in 2019, but after that he reinvented himself, grew out his hair and shit, got buffer, stronger, faster, and started knocking dudes out. He had pretty crazy knockouts. Beat a couple of legends in Bobby Green and Rafael dos Anjos in his comeback to this year. He was on a pretty good fight winning streak, and they put him up against Justin Gaethje. What was crazy is that Rafael Fiziev was the favorite against Justin Gaethje in the odds. He was like a -300 or something like that. People were real confident that this guy was the next big thing, and he was real confident talking all that trash to Justin Gaethje. I mean, Justin Gaethje's been around for a long time, taking a lot of punishment, so we could see why people would think he would win. But Justin Gaethje went out there and put it on a clinic. Beat his ass. The type of beating that you don't recover from. Up the hype train that this guy's gonna be the next champion, that he's gonna challenge Islam and all this bullshit. That wasn't it. Took a fight later, a few months later, against Gamrot, and this is a fight that I remember clearly because I lost a lot of money on it. He went out there, threw a leg kick, broke his leg, and now I don't know what's gonna happen to Fiziev, but huge hype derailment right here. Sodiq Yusuff, he was from Nigeria. He was strong. 6-1 in his UFC fight before he fought Edson Barbosa. This guy was looking like he could bring whole country to the table, make a lot of money. But like I said, he fought the veteran Edson Barbosa, who had the heart of a lion. Sodiq almost knocked him out in the first round, but Edson kept pushing on and destroyed him the last 2 rounds. Even rocked him at one point, almost knocked him out. 37-year-old Barbosa took the win over him and just kind of derailed him, because, I mean, if you can't beat a veteran like that, how are you going to beat the young guys that are coming up in the top 5 rankings and all that? Huge derailment right there. Number 2, Anshu Jubil. This guy isn't as accomplished as most of the fighters on this list, but the reason why I'm putting this guy up is because Indians were going crazy on social media. This is a new guy, first Indian fighter, he's going to be champion, blah blah blah. Well, this guy looked good his first fight in the UFC. He out-wrestled an Indonesian fellow and looked very like a world beater. The last fight was crazy. He abandoned the wrestling and became a kickboxer. Fought a guy by the name of Mike Brennan, who didn't even make weight, out of shape. Anshu was doing real good at the beginning, but Brennan started barking, getting in his face, made him uncomfortable, and actually made him scared at one point. How crazy he was acting, and knocked him out with a few seconds left. It was the craziest comeback I've ever seen. And number 2, because it was just funny. It was just, something that never happens the way it happened. I know Indians are mad, but it is what it is. Your boy got sparked that day, and hopefully he comes back. He's still young, but that was a funny knockout, so I'm putting that number 2. Number 1, the one and only your boy, Raul Rosas Jr. Guy was 18. The UFC is making such a big deal about that. They were making a big deal because he was Mexican. He speaks Spanish. Young teenager, youngest champion he was supposed to be, and this guy was just talking all kinds of trash, talking about how he would beat Aljamain sparring, Aljamain Sterling, and all these guys. Well, once again, he went up against my boy Christian Rodriguez, who should be the hype killer. That should be his nickname. And Raul Rosas Jr. went out there and tried to take him down like 100 times and couldn't because of the size and the age difference. Well, after the first round, Raul Rosas Jr. gassed. My boy Christian proved to be too much for him. Just beat him up the last 2 rounds. And ultimately just ended everything that Raul Rosas was about. I mean, he's still very young, but it was a bad look. This guy was being shoved down your throat during UFC Mexico, or I forgot what it was. I think it was Fight Noche or whatever. It looked really bad. So I would put this guy at number 1. As the biggest hype train that lost this year. I'm sure he'll be back. I mean, he recently had a good knockout against a guy that wasn't ranked, but amazing. And yeah, just go back to the game plan. Tell me what you think. If I missed anybody, hit the notification and subscribe. Thank you.